Peace and love, brother. Peace and love. The legacy's in the building, building with you, brother Shabazz. How are you feeling today? Thank you. Yes, yes, sir. So the Korean art, what a lot of people didn't know, they use more of their lower body, and even in Korea when they rode horses, they were using their legs to kick from on top of the horses. So in the Korean art, it what it taught me and what I gained from it is more flexibility, speed, agility, and the the act of being the act of knowing how to use my bottom half and not depending on my upper body. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Okay, there you go. Yes, yes, sir. The African Bantu arts are within all our DNAs in actuality, and with proper research and channeling your ancestors and from previous arts that you as an individual attained, learned, and started to really understand and decipher, you start to pull out, you know, what we call gut feeling, a quiet voice leads us into knowing and into performing and executing what it is from the past through our ancestors. So the Montu sciences go more deeper into that aspect and understanding who we are and having the knowledge of stuff and to understand where we came from. You said American? Okay. All right. The American is more like what was taken from Japan and made and Americanized, karate, and you know, just like I explained before that everything in life is borrowed. And what I mean, I like to use the word borrowed because it doesn't it's being fair, not seem like somebody has stolen or taken from us, but that's another story. But when things are borrowed, you see similarities in arts, in and you see it might not be called an outside block. It might be a rotation block. It might so on and so forth. So in that, in the American aspect, we learned the American version of karate, and it's been restructured to have us to understand what the execution of it really means to happen. I mean, it gets really deep with the American art because I don't want to say something that I'll be quoted for, but the American art it's basically restructured in more English terms to give us a better understanding of what it is that we're executing. When it comes to Thai, I didn't per se learn go to a school that taught exactly Thai, but my uncle Tiger Jude, he was very proficient in Thai boxing. which was taught by his grandmaster, to this day is still big on Thai boxing. Now, if you Google his name, his picture still comes up. He's still all over the world teaching people how to shoot Thai, shoot boxing, and so on and so forth. So that the little bit that I got from my uncle was enough for me to tie into what it is that I do today. Right. Now, I like to use the word traditional because when people hear the word mixed martial art, that's exactly what it is. It's mixed martial art. Traditional brings a sense of foundation. There's a protocol to it. So the word traditional carries value. Where traditional with the word without the word MMA, look at it. When people hear the word MMA, first thing to them that comes up is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's MMA, dirty boxing, a little bit of Thai boxing, grappling, wrestling. That's what they call the true mixed martial art because there's no real structure to it, but drills. I'm sure there are instructors out there that make a structure to MMA, but if they make a structure, then the word traditional is brought into it. Yes, sir. Lost Legacy Kung Fu is basically what it is that I have acquired through my journey in Kung Fu, and again applying my ancestral DNA into it. And that goes with every other art. Any art I've developed in Lost Legacy systems itself is just a piece of me and and what was brought out to represent that particular thing. My swag, my movement, and giving it to somebody else so it could become their swag and their movement. So my art is an evolutionary art. There's room and meditation. So, well, with ancestral DNA comes time, and what I mean by time, time for self. A lot of people don't realize we meditate, we go deep within ourselves in understanding ourselves and learning of our true selves, and waking up each morning. So the word self, 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 self reemerges each time. So when we say the word ancestral DNA, we all have ancestral background, and a lot of us meaning the world, don't acknowledge that because what was the past is the past. But at the same time, without that past, we would not exist. So it's important that through meditation, we feel for our ancestors. There's times we dream, and a lot of times we see things, and then or other times we're sitting there and we go, "Wow, I felt like this happened before." That right there's premonition, and the fact is it not? Was it a dream? It was just something people call it deja vu, but it's a vision. It's your ancestral DNA, almost as if you were there before and now you're here again. So to tap into ancestral DNA, meditation is required. Fasting is required. Um, understanding self and understanding others around you, and not having ego with that. Ego will stop you all the time, all the time. So to understand, you may not agree with somebody, but you have to respect their ways, how they feel, so on and so forth. And they would have to learn to do that vice versa. So understanding and respecting will always solve a disagreement. Knowledge, okay, knowledge yourself is understanding who you are, your flaws, your pros, your cons, to truly sit there and analyze yourself. Sometimes we got to listen to others. Others might say, what do you talk to me like that? And then you look at them like, talk to you like what? You know, and then you don't realize the way you talk to people because you're brought up a certain way, and maybe something has affected you somewhere in your life coming up, and so to catch and to grasp yourself and to listen to others as they point things out, it gives you a sense of knowledge yourself, understanding self. And when you truly understand self, you could truly say that you understand others because you take the time to understand others. Understanding, understanding to me is the totality. Because as as yes, sir, as understanding, knowledge is hearsay. Knowledge is what someone tells you. You know, without experiencing it or researching it, you don't know if it's fact or not. But you take that knowledge, and until you have experienced that knowledge, that's when that knowledge becomes wisdom. And then you can go back and you can tell somebody, through my experience, through my journeys, I've learned this. It's no longer hearsay to you, but to them it's hearsay, and to you it's wisdom. And when you get to that knowledge and wisdom, you get the totality of understanding. So that understanding, it has to do with that knowledge and wisdom, that 1 plus 2, and that 1 plus 2 equals 3, which is understanding. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fluidity. Fluidity. That's the word that comes to me. With fluidity, it's the essence to flow. It's the 360. They have a good understanding of the meridians, and they understand how the blood flows. They understand how the chi flows. Their focus is on that. So they're medicine. Chinese is medicine. And I acknowledge that because the way they teach and their understanding to kung fu, Chinese kung fu, Chinese martial arts is not just a defense system, it's a healing system. So I would have to say fluidity. I hear foundation. Foundation is the solid ground. It's Japanese is very sturdy, it's very rigid. And with Japanese, the word strict comes with it. Not to say that other arts are not strict, but the Japanese art definitely lays a foundation. Again, it's Japanese is like the earth to me. Grow your roots, keep your roots holding you up, and keep flowing. Korean, I see the air. Air. Everything is essence of breath, of speed. Of define this light to speed. I guess another word would be light, because as fast as light travels is as fast as the Koreans look to move. Well, if you get to that point, you're one bad dude. The beginning, that's where it started. It's the rock. I see the rock, the mother, the womb, with that, those were the seeds, Africa, the seeds, you plant Africa and everything else grows out of Africa, you know. Hmm. Thai martial arts, I hear discipline. Discipline because they're very physical, and and what I mean by physical, they really go through their conditioning, shin conditioning, rib conditioning, stomach conditioning, chest conditioning, arm conditioning. These guys really put in work into putting in pain into the body so the body can adapt to that pain. So I'd have to say it takes a disciplined mind and a mind to really want to do that particular type of art. The word is discipline. Oh man, 52 blocks. Again, yeah, the 52 blocks is, yes, sir. Well, the 52 blocks, every time people hear that name, they think it's a jail. It's a jail style. Where is it? It originated definitely from the motherland. There are a lot of different things that prove that. You know, I was educated very well through Professor Mo. And he's definitely an advocate of 52 blocks, along with a lot of great brothers that's out there. And what we look to do with 52 blocks is is show a foundation of it rather than just do it and call it that. It has to have a structure. Everything in life has to have a structure. Without a structure, it doesn't. It does. There's no building. It's just hey, let's get together and let's just do things. No, let's get the structure. So with 52 blocks, the word structure comes. Ah, versatility. Because with versatility, with Nimpo, the the ninja is different. Yes, sir. You see, but the thing about that is the ninjas were opposite of the samurai. They had to they had to pull their sword out a certain way. They had to they had to pivot their leg a certain way. You know, where the ninja, they were what I see as the start of Ronins going into ninjutsu, because the Ronins were more master samurais, and, and then the Ronins were divided to first martial art teachers to teach people how to defend yourself, and then there you find others that want to use that skill and get paid off of it to do something else, and that was the ninja at the time. Kobajitsu is basically the art of using a weapon. You know, Kobajitsu. Again, that's weaponry. That's the foundation for me to all weapons. It would be a staff, a bow or a Joe staff. Just the lining of it. It's a straight, it's a straight staff, and with that straight staff, you'll learn how to wield a sword. You'll learn how to wield a sai. You'll learn how to wield a tonfa. You know, the kamas. So the foundation to Kobe Jiu Jitsu, in my eyes, would be a staff, a bow or a Joe staff. Nimporu is basically the same thing as the ninjutsu. Yes, sir. The way of the wind. The way. Yes, sir. The way. Wow. The brother's no doubtedly a pioneer. He's an innovator. You know, when I first left to start my own, he was a big influence in what I did. You know, I would speak to him every day, and his philosophy, his way of thinking, wow, you know, I miss that daily, and I'm very much strongly in touch with his son Hanshi Duncan, Gregory Duncan, and wow, the brothers. I mean, to speak to him. Have you ever spoken to him? Incredible. Yeah, it's pretty. I could get emotional behind it because you know at one point you know when I was being when I was told you know you could start your own system, and you know I'd speak to different people, including my uncle, and you know he because he's family, he encouraged me to go do it, you know, but to have somebody else that's beyond family and somebody that influenced the world in being called the father of American ninjutsu, you know, give me advice and tell me what I do, what I shouldn't, what I should look out for, and so on and so on. And he said to always remember that I have a purpose. He said because before before you know that you have a purpose before anybody else had opinions. You know, so that in itself is deep. You know, there's a purpose. Purpose is written down, and I was to go forward with that purpose. You know, and he basically told me, and he even told me at one point to, if I'm going to start a system, don't start a system solely on ninjutsu. So I was like, okay, you know, and it's like a lot of people. If you notice in Taekwondo schools, just to jump off the subject, if in any schools, you notice it says such and such is Taekwondo, Rick's Taekwondo, Bob's Taekwondo. It's the same Taekwondo. But what happens is you're looking to build the word again, legacy. So when you build in a legacy, that name comes up, you know. And he told me instead of staying onto one subject or one particular art, to take the best of what I've learned and to give it equal portions and to teach it, you know. And it's true. The more you teach an art, the more you start to unlock certain things you didn't even know about that particular style you were learning, you know, because now the student is helping the teacher to learn himself or herself. Again, we believe in foundation, and as we all know, the more you go into the more watered down, depending on the area that you live in, the style gets because not everybody is built to train a certain way, you know. So foundation, what I've learned throughout the years, and I just don't take on any new students. I actually interview for new students. And I interview those who seek out what it is that I want to teach. And, you want to see where their mind is, because depending on where their mind is, it will depend whether I accept them or not. Because I teach a foundation of traditional drills. And with those drills comes hard work. With those drills comes old school teaching, which is again not for everybody, and to learn these drills, your mindset would have to be a certain way. It would have to be on a level of being able to survive. So I do a lot of simulations. I do a lot of routines where we're put in situations and how would you react? And then we do these over and over and over and over so that the mind can grasp and understand it. So if it ever happens again, being that we've done it so many times, it may not come out as clean as how we practice it, but it'll come out. You know what I mean? So the word survival, this is where it's broken down to. And again, I understand what I teach is not for everybody, because it's not so much what I teach, it's how I condition the body and the mind is what's going to be the hardest part for anyone who's studying under me. Correct way. Haiti, like Haiti, Haiti, like every other word in the English dictionary has always changed. Would make it sound like. You know what I'm saying? So yes, yes sir, yeah, sure. Yes sir. Indeed. Yes, sir. Right. Yes. Right, right. Hmm. Wow. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 100%. Wow, deep. That's deep. That's deep, brother. Indeed. Well, at the age of 4, as you know, I probably didn't understand and knew what was going on. I mean, when you're at that age and you see people doing movements and you just want to do it too, you know. I have very short memories of Haiti. I do remember a lot of things that I've done, and definitely remember going through motions and mimicking my uncles. And it's very fortunate to have my mom comes from a family of 15 kids, and 8 of them did martial arts. Incredible, and including my mom. And to watch them constantly practice outside. Their friends came over, they were doing it, and I was mimicking. And three of my uncles took interest of really, really like showing me different things. And those uncles were Jude, Paul, and named for Pierre. So just watching that, I didn't really get a full understanding of what it is I was doing until I was about maybe 7, 8, because at that time I had that serious focusedness. I wanted to be serious about it because they were serious about it, and I mimicked my uncles a lot, a lot, a lot. And at the time I didn't even know there was a difference of what it is that they were teaching me. They were just teaching me this, teaching me that, and I was just doing it. Well, think super hot weather, dirt road, concrete, concrete everywhere, and it wasn't only me that was there. I remember seeing some other smaller children there as well, but they were tougher on us, smacking us, get in line, stand strong, don't cry, So to be in that weather, constant heat beating on you and throwing 20 kicks, 30 kicks, do it again. You did it wrong, which is where my mentality and how I teach as well. Because again, one of the quotes, just to jump off the subject, one of the quotes I love the most from Bruce, he said, I do not fear the man that knows 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that practices one kick 10,000 times. And that stuck, you know, ever since that, I wanted when I train myself, I'm doing that kick 50 times and with form and slow because what it does, it reassures and it reminds my body to send that message to the brain to saying, hey, you still got this. Keep going. So that training in Haiti was that mentality. Do it again and again. When will I learn something new? Never until you get this down. Very kung fu setting from Channel 5 back in the days, kung fu movies, You're doing the same thing for 2 months, And that's what truly, yes, sir. Because what a lot of people miss is, yeah, you may know that skill and you may want to move to the next, but what's your body doing? Your mind knows it, yeah, but what's your body doing? Can your body do it like 50 times? And that's the make it or break it, in any type of competition, who can outlast the other person, who has the better endurance, who has the better stamina. Without conditioning, not only physically, but mentally, all that skill set you got, you could throw it out the window. Conditioning is everything. Mental conditioning and physical conditioning. Yes, sir. Well, one thing I always say is that you can't force a person to move a certain way, which I see a lot of people do. No, put your foot this way. No, do that. Everybody's structure is built differently. Everybody's comfortability level is different. Everybody's mentality is different. What you look to do is, I don't want to use the word modify, but you sort of use a modification for that person. Instead of, they walk in the class, yeah, we're doing 100 jumping jacks right now, but do as many as you can at a great form. When you stop, no problem. Stop, catch your breath, and let's move on to the next exercise. You must build yourself up to that point now. So now that a person that's coming off the street that was accepted to come into a particular style of train with all these other guys that's been doing it for 5, 6, 10, 15 years, one thing what I don't do is I don't really give okay, white belt, you get this, yellow belt, you get that. Everybody gets the same thing. Now, what varies from it is do as many as you can until you are able to reach to that number that everybody else is at. So that way you give them something to build towards rather than forcing them to do that and making them feel a certain way. One thing that I've learned in the arts is I've studied under a handful of people, and out of that handful, there have been hardcore martial artists that would definitely hurt your feelings on the floor. That's just the way the old school tradition was at the time. But becoming a teacher myself and teaching, that's one thing I told myself that I would never do. I would never belittle anyone. That's just not my style. There's always a way of doing things differently. And my thing is encouragement. And and again, from what you said, what I do is instead of you guys doing 100, give me as many as you can. I don't give them a number. If you could do 20, do 20. You could do 10, do 10. You could get up to 50, great. Just do as many as you can, and then more. And the next time, a little bit more than that. So it sort of gives them something to build towards a goal, so on and so forth, building up their lungs, makes them feel the sense of family and wanting to be there rather than, wow, this guy hurt my feelings. I'm not coming back. We got to do better. And one thing that I want to promote is respect, among each other, regardless of the respect is very important. The ego is an uncontrolled, well, sometimes it is controlled emotion, and the ego can definitely make and break a person. Some people like that, a lot of, and it depends again on the conditioning and the upbringing of an individual. A lot of people in this world wants to be told what to do and how to do it and when to do it. I just happen to not, I teach individuality, I teach independence, but at the same time, ego is prohibited because ego is what made Anakin Skywalker turn to Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? Because he was easily influenced by by the Siths because they the Siths and the Force, they have similar views, but yet they both felt that the Force was to be used a certain way, you know, and and again, it doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean they're wrong, doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's a matter of perception, and perception is something in the world that everybody has, and without us understanding that people will see things differently from how you see things, it that that's where ego comes in because when you say no, you're wrong and blah 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 blah, and you believe so strongly in something, and then rather than take the time to again understanding and respecting the way each other feel or what they believe, we ridicule each other, and with ridicule, you know, emotion of ego comes in because now nobody wants to let in, you know, I'm right, you're wrong, you know, agree to disagree. And I'm a person, I'll be quick to be like, okay, it's not worth the energy. Wow. No. Incredible. Wow. And that right there is such an honor, bro. There's some incredible pioneers in the snooker's rule system. Incredible. Yep. 100% ancestral DNA. It's incredible. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. Because that's something from within. That's something that we have to understand. It's deep. Because you go to schools and their schools want to just teach to make the money. It's just a curriculum. Come in, kick, punch, kick, go home. Next class, come in, kick, punch, kick, go home. Next class. There's a lot of schools like that, and there's schools that really take the time to pick a person's brain because I see it all the time in my school. They come to learn how to fight. They're learning about themselves. Period. It becomes a different journey now. The whole mindset totally changed. The fighting is out the window. They become Jackie Chan. I don't want no trouble. I don't want to fight because once you push me to fight, that's when that again the animalistic, the survivalist comes out of a person when you're backed into that corner. You got to learn to turn it on and turn it off. Yeah, Ayo Mazda. Yeah. Well, incredible individual. Um, he's who introduced the whole concept of Japanese structure to me. Just a quick story. I was at a club in New York City, and a good friend of mine, we were sparring on the dance floor, and the individual approached us and said, "Wow, you guys look like you have some skills." He goes, "Can I join?" And we was like, "Sure." So we sparred on the floor, and the person actually said, "Wow, you guys are pretty good." He goes, "What styles you study?" So we basically told him what we did, and he goes, "Here's this card." So he gave us a card to Grandmaster Professor Richard Sinclair Sr., and it had an octopus symbol on it, and that was so appealing to me. Like, wow, it's an octopus style. I've never heard of that before. So I called the number and made an appointment to go over there, and I went over there and I laid eyes on the Japanese structure. These guys were diving over staffs. They were using weaponry very, very rigidly, and they had a and I walked into the place in a kung fu uniform. Number one, I walked in a kung fu uniform, and the whole place just stopped. They look at me, like, who's this kung fu dude coming in here? And these guys in the Japanese gis, and they're looking great. They had that ninjutsu tabis on. At that time he really focused on the ninjutsu style of his art, and I just sat there. I tried the class. My cardio is really good. He said, you should consider joining. And I signed up on the spot. I signed up on the spot. He gave me a uniform. He said, okay, one more thing, keep the kung fu uniform home. But everybody's different. Again, perception. You know, so that's what started me, and the connection with this guy. I I've never seen nothing like that before. I've seen in movies, guys are diving, and he's the one who actually gave me my years later gave me the first opportunity in doing some stunt work. He had a connection, and I met Bobby Samuels, who's the first black individual to be part of a Hong Kong association around Chinese people. Incredible. I mean, he opened up a lot of doors for me. He did. He opened up a lot of doors. He was part of my creative mode when it came to fusing what it is that I had together, what I've learned from in the past, into becoming the Lost Legacy system. I didn't want anything too intricate. I wanted something basic, and the basic again had foundation. And with the foundation, after repetitive movements, it will definitely mold you into what it is that you look to become without being first initial a fighter. The first initial is knowledge of self. Again, know who you are, what you like, your capabilities, know how to control yourself, know what's the difference from ego and anger, so on and so forth. All that is very important. It's good to have a open relationship with your students so they could truly understand who they are and understand who you are and where you come from and what you expect from them. Ultimately, you could give them a list of things to do. They're not going to do the whole list, but they're going to pick out what best suits them for the time being, and they'll learn eventually. He learned under Grandmaster Moses Powell. He learned under the late Professor Ronald Duncan. He learned under Professor Stewart. Those were three of the major teachers that he studied under. And all three of those guys, they got history. So I always tell people, Google them. Yeah. So he has a very strong foundation. Yes, sir. 100%. Survivalist. 100%. He defined that word survivalist, and that's what Sanukis is. Um, my experience with him was through Richard Sinclair, of course. Richard Sinclair would do seminars, and one time while I was present, he did a seminar for Doc Powell, and he came down. All the brothers and sisters from Sanukis Rue came down. He demonstrated. I mean, it was incredible, incredible. And even when I moved 2002, I I I linked up with one of his students, Kevin Aaron, Professor Kevin Aaron out here, and we started studying and practicing together. And oh, you met, Kevin? Perfect, perfect. So in the last days of Professor Powell, I was able to meet the brother. I was able to see him again in Melbourne. I was able to see him in Hialeah, where Professor Shanique had also did a seminar, and Doc Powell was there. So I was involved in a lot of seminars, a lot of training with Kevin Aaron to really focus on my Sanuka's jiu-jitsu side, because Richard Sinclair, he taught us a lot of the jiu-jitsu, but as you know, as I say it, when you teach somebody else's style, you tend to put your own swag into it. So it's not the raw of it, but it's it's added things to it where it's not the, you know, I don't want to say it was the fake, but it's not the raw. It's not the solid rock. It's polished. And I'd rather get a raw stone than a polished stone because I know all the energies are still there. So my experience with it, again, he was still sharp. He had a sharp mind, knew what he was talking about. I was excited. You know, Kevin Iron was a big part in my Florida experience to to keep me in touch with Sanukis, and I'm grateful for that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's right. Yes, sir. I like to use the word evolution, and in using the word evolution, it it kind of goes against what traditional martial arts is. In traditional martial arts, you're given a booklet, and in that booklet, there's step-by-step movements and names and philosophy that in study and practice to the T. Now, what that does, it It's a form of program, which can be positive programming, and having that programming, that person is given the opportunity to take it and get what he or she can get as much from it as possible. The downside to that is not too many can get too much out of it because they see it for what it is and they practice it for what it is, but don't fully understand what it is. And there's those that excel, that see it, that adapts to it, that see and that creates their own swag. So going back to the word evolution, what I've learned is that through the other arts of learning the same thing over and over again. And when I put a little movement into it and they told me stop, that movement doesn't belong there. Go back and fix it. I've learned. So you see where it's coming, right? So we become robots. We become a product of that particular product. We become the same thing that everybody else is doing. So in my art, I call it an evolutionary art, where I allow a person to express, where I allow them to, because they're knock kneed, that they can't move like a person who's bow-legged. I allow them to move and drop into their stance that works for them. But at the same time, looking at the stance and making sure that that particular effective for them as an individual. So my style is geared for individual needs, not just, you know what I'm saying? So evolution is important. You have to allow your art to evolve. If your art is the same blueprint over and over again, then people will find flaws. They will. So if I did a technique last year and the technique is working all year, and this year comes and somebody deciphers my technique, breaks it down, and they're able to always counter that technique, the technique no longer works. Do we keep the technique in the system? The traditionalist will. I like to use the word traditional because traditional allows you to have foundation. It allows you to have the honor, the respect, the obedience, the loyalty. All those words fall into traditional. I'm all for that. What I don't agree on is keeping the same product the way it is. The way we could fix that, drills. You could teach the drill a certain way, allow the person to practice those drills, and evolve into who they are out of those particular drills. Let them add their essence, let them add their swag. That is very important in evolutionary of an art. So my difference in my art would be evolution, allowing the art to become what it is. Yes, sir. Hmm. You know, for long range, sir. Yes, sir. For long range, I would have to say timing. Because again, because what a lot of people, what they do when they're doing their long range, everybody has a favorite set of movements, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to repeat that movement two, three, 4 times. When you see that, timing comes in. Timing has to come in. Because from there, because I know what's the next question. So for long range, then there's going to be short range because right, Of course, when it comes to the verses and the competition, again, it boils down always to the practitioner. And so you can take somebody is for example, you walk into a Kyokushin's, you go into a Kyokushin Kai school, and you walk in and you go to two different schools. You go to one, and there's the person doing the Kyokushin Kai, and he looks lousy at it. I mean, and the teacher is looking lousy. And first thing that the average human being would say is, wow, this style sucks. You get what I'm saying? Now you now you go into another school and these guys are popping. And you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna join this style right now. So it's not the martial art. Yes, sir. So it's deep. It's deep. Precision. You have to be precise, because mid ranges, it's not close quarter, but to be precise in mid range, I'd have to just say precise. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, you broke up on neutralizing what? Well, what right. Well, what we teach is we do a lot of boxing here as well. We're not professional boxers, but we know the foundation, and with the foundation and using what it is that we know in the art, we apply it. But at the same time, we understand pressure points too. And with pressure points, if you know where to hit a person, you'll slow them down. You'll slow them down. Elbow joints, shoulder joints. Person's got to pick up their arm. But if you neutralize that, what are your thoughts? I used to hang out in the Starlight City, so I know. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See, and this and that's the glory. Yeah. 100%. That's the glory of Lost Legacy, because boxing is a strong foundation of it. You you can't take the karate and go out there and do a square outside block. It's not going to work in the street. You have to evolve it. You have to evolve it. And when you evolve, your upper body motions into a more of a boxing blocks, and you're not doing no reverse or or or, 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 or hook punches. I mean, moving boxing, you're slipping, you're sliding. It is important because in order to to go against an opponent, you have to study the opponent. You almost have to study their style so your body and your mind can understand it and counter it. No. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, because yeah, they're throwing with force and no real control. I mean, when you get tired towards the fight and you start to swing and start to swing, you're looking to just knock a person out. Where a martial artist, they're looking to tenderize you. They're looking to break you down first because they don't really want to hurt you. Majority of martial artists, they just want to neutralize it. They just want to stop the fight. So if they could slow you down, then I'd rather do that rather than knock you out. Yeah, yes, sir. You know, yeah, it's a matter. As a martial artist, we move. The Kyokushin guys are similar to the boxers. They have more of a stationary stance. They move when they have to move. Everything is they're trained to give that one punch. If it connects, you're done. You're done. I get it. And again, it all depends on the next person's conditioning. But if you find someone who's I'm going to use the word traditional. Traditional mixed martial artist is someone who's went through the ranks in actual traditional martial arts and has fused it to make it work for them. If you get somebody who moves like a taekwondoist, there's no way the boxer is going to catch him. I mean, there's always that's right. That's right. So if you hit and run, tenderize. Sure. Yes, sir. Right. Yeah, nothing to play with. If you're going to go toe to toe with a boxer, try to play his game, and then you're not primarily a boxer, you get knocked out 100%. No, it's true. You're gonna get knocked out. So Sokia-san Kalik, San Kalik. Yes, sir. Nah, you But you know what else? You have knowledge yourself. You understand. You know what I'm saying? You don't have ego. There you go. You know how those words come in? Somebody with ego, not knowledge yourself, it, ignorance will get you in trouble all the time. You're passionate. And trust me, I know a lot of them, bro. It's like I've seen them move and they look better than ever. As they their wine, brother. Yes, sir. I say with Sanukas, my philosophy, my philosophy is to use Sanukas with Sanukas. Learn Sanukas. 100%. You kidding me? That's the real deal. The real deal. The real deal. Stop. That's the real deal. It's incredible because they muscle manipulate, they wrist lock, they break, they manipulate your muscles. I mean, they tear your muscles. These guys are neutralizing and stopping you before you even stopped. Serious business. Oh man. Well, no, it's a beast, but you know, it's a beast in competition because in the street, you're not going to drop to the floor on the street. You're not going to stop a bullet in the street. You're not going to stop a knife slice in the street. It's a great competitive sport. It's great for core. It's great for cardio endurance. It's a sport. It's a sport. You know. Now, BJ Sanukis becomes crazy. BJJ is created from judo. Jiu-jitsu is created from judo. They just take. I want to do more grappling in here. I want to do more takedowns over here. You know, to to be a uki jujitsu comes from judo. You know, you want to break for, you want to drop to your side, drop to your back, drop to your front, flip and drop. You know, all that stuff. It all that stuff derives from judo. It's just somebody said that I want to do more of this than that. I'm, I'm sorry, not sorry. It all came from jujitsu, Japanese jujitsu. My apologies. Judo came from Japanese jujitsu. BJJ came 100%. Yes, sir. They're getting that Timberland stuff. The jump. Yep. Yep. They still. Yes. It's a cruel world. 100, one. Yep, yep, yep. And this is why it's important to learn all the arts, or the the to really apply your studies into every art. No art is the better art. It's the practitioner that's going to make the art what it is. They Snookus is a beautiful art. You know, Professor Mo, he was a visionary. He saw it all. He did it all. He fused it all together. He fused it all together. He get accolades. He did stuff for the Secret Service, police. The man definitely did his thing. He showed this is effective and it works. It's a survival art. And right? Yep. Nope. It's a mentality. Mm, right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I love that. Love that. I love that. That's one of the most perfect ways of putting it. Incredible. Yeah. Was that? Yeah. Yes, sir. So the great thing about me coming to the great thing about me coming to South Florida, it wasn't planned. I came out here one year and fell in love with the surroundings, and I just started asking questions about the living situation, the renting of a building situation, and realized it was like a little bit more than half of what it would cost to be in New York City. So I gave it some thought. And that same year, I was driving a U-Haul truck to Florida, and within 3 months, I started a I started teaching my program inside of a health club gym. And when they saw me and they saw what it was I was doing the demo by myself, number one. I had 5 different outfits. I had somebody reading the script. I put the music together. The music was playing while they were reading the script. And I did the demo by myself in 5 different outfits while the person read and explained what it was that I was doing, who I learned it from, and so on and so forth. Still got that video somewhere. And people were blown away because, again, I brought a different swag. It wasn't the typical Taekwondo school. It wasn't the typical traditional martial arts school. It was an electrics. It was explosive. It was electrifying. What is it? And here's this guy. And at the time, I had all my dreadlocks out my head, and I'm flying, and my hair's flying, and the, the woes, the wows, and I mean, literally, I signed up almost 7 to 8 people that day just from that demo. Because it was different. It was different. I spoke differently. I walked differently. Everything about me was like, what's this guy about? What is this about? And then I found 2 students that I groomed, and they helped push me. And there was 2 high school students. They had experience in martial arts already. I took them and I brought them to a next level. These guys were flying, doing T kicks, flying over swords, stuff that I've done in New York, and I brought it to Florida. And then I would tell everybody, listen, this isn't for everybody. If you're looking to put somebody in something that they want to look cute and you want to take pictures, bring them to another school. This school, they're gonna cry, they're gonna be they're gonna be hurting, they're gonna be sore, because this is the real deal. And again, I built my student base, and because it was different, because it wasn't the normal in Florida, because it was New York stamped, I was successful behind it. I mean, even after Hurricane Wilma, we had the storefront, and Wilma destroyed it completely. I mean, destroyed it. The roof came in and destroyed my whole dojo. After because after the health clubs, I opened up a dojo. It destroyed it. And then at the time, the city of Coconut Creek saw us teaching outside in the park, and they offered a room to us, and that was it. I mean, that was probably I've had 20s, 30s, 40s students inside of one room, and it was a good time. It was a good time. It taught me a lot as a teacher, because again, a true teacher know that their students is who teaches them, is who polishes them mentally. They polish students polish their teacher. It's a 360. They both need each other. 180 and 180. Just got to make it happen. And I mean, I don't regret anything I've done in life, because with regrets, there's always a positive lesson. You know what I mean? Kung Fu. So no, you said it right. Yes, sir. What I think, actor. Um, actor. I think personalities. Because in a lot of us, we have the misconception that if a person is told that they have multiple personalities, that they could be labeled insane. But in actuality, no, because in each situation, you are a different person. When you're with your mom, you speak a certain way. When you're with your homeboy, you speak a certain way. When you're with your girl, you speak a different way. That's your personality. So an actor, basically targets and tunes in to become that particular situation. So personality would be my word. Director, constructor. Director is a constructor, someone who constructs, who puts together, who I don't want to use the word direct again, but he's an organizer. He's a leader. When you direct, you put together, you organize. Someone who creates, creator. So just like we are writers of our life. Each day we get up. What do we do today? We simply don't let life just bring us to whatever it is that we it's going to happen. We have to have a blueprint. We have to say, okay, today I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to go work out. Then I'm going to go work here. Then I'm going to train here. So we're the writers. If you get a lot of people like to sit back and hope things happen, and things won't happen without effort. Nothing is going to happen. You're going to sit there. You're going to sit there for a while, and things are worse. So we are the creators. We are the writers of our life. A filmmaker is creativity. Someone who puts it all together. Each scene by scene. Someone who's a visionary. Someone who sees where a person should be, where they should be, how something should look, what the prop should be. So visionary, filmmaker is a person as a creator, one who puts things together. Control. So fight choreographer, stunt man. It's all about control. So it's a person that understands the amount of pressure, speed, timing, precision. Those words come up again. It takes to make something look realistic. You know, um, the right timing to turn, the right timing to actually not hit a person, to make it look like you're hitting the person, and so on and so forth. So with that word comes control. Control is very important. Otherwise, you just throw and then somebody ends up getting hurt. A production company is the organization itself. It's a group of people put together that all that all think alike or are similar to the ways of thinking, so that they can actually build from a foundation that is given and start making pyramids. I always say I constantly build pyramids, because when you build pyramids, they still don't know how the Egyptians built the pyramids. So nobody should know how you build yours.